Hello everyone, my name is Travis and this is the griddle rail. We are working on a 6-foot griddle. As you can see, we've already got one griddle rail installed. We've got another one here ready to be installed, and I'm going to show you how to do it. First, we've got everything out of the box: the griddle rail, your Allen wrench, and 2 set screws. That's all you're going to need. As you can see, this griddle has a pretty wide bar on the front of it, and all griddles have different size bars, so we need this griddle rail to fit this particular griddle. So we're going to extend the griddle rail arm, place it over the top of the griddle bar, and once we've got it over the top, we're going to fit it as snug as we can, and we really want to make sure we get one side tight before we move on to the other side. It's also very important that you install your griddle rail before you turn the griddle on in the morning, as it heats up real fast and that can be dangerous. If you do have to install it while the griddle is on, you can always grab a towel to protect your hand from the heat. So now that we've got it placed over the bar of the griddle, we'll move to one side and start to tighten it down. We've got 2 screws on each side, so 4 screws total. We'll start on one side. We really want to make sure we get this side nice and snug and the correct fit. So we're going to start by tightening these 2 screws down on this side. We're not going to tighten them 100% all the way tight. We're just going to get them tight enough to give us room to work with. After we've got those pretty tight, we're going to move over to our other side and do the same thing. Not tightening them down 100% all the way, but still tightening them down enough to be nice and snug. After we've got both sides tightened down pretty good, now it's time to really go back to each side and get them really nice and tight. That way they don't come loose on you. And this should be really the only time you have to do these 4 screws, unless of course someone is mishandling the product, but that should not be the case. So we're going to go back to our first side that we started on, and we're really going to give these a good nice snug fit. We don't want to over tighten it. We just want to tighten it to where that screw is not being turning anymore or having to be forced. So once we've got that one side done, we'll move over to our other side. Same thing, not wanting to force the screws, just wanting to get them tight enough to where they're not moving anymore as we turn the Allen wrench. All right, so now we've got the griddle bar, the griddle arm, the same size as our bar of the griddle. So now we want to take our 2 set screws, and on the trough side of your griddle, you'll find 2 holes on the back side. We want to take the pointy end first, stick it in, and start to tighten it in with just our fingers. We don't have to use the Allen wrench yet. We just want to get it started. So we've got one side in. Now the same thing on the other side. Pointy in first, into the hole. Now we've got them started. Now I just want to take my Allen wrench and ease that set screw in until I feel it tap the bar on the griddle. And once I do, I don't want to go much further than that. I don't want to force it any further into the griddle bar than I have to. I just want to get it nice and snug. Once I feel that it's starting to touch it pretty tight, I'll give it maybe 3/4, maybe even as little as a half a turn. Once I feel it going in, and then I don't have to force it much more than that. So that feels nice and snug. Same thing on this side, turning it, felt it touch. Once I feel it touch and it feels like it's getting nice and tight, don't want to force it any more than that, and that's all it takes. Your griddle rail is installed. Now you may want to take it off to take it to your dish pit to clean it. That's very simple. All you need to do, lift up, push away, come back. Take it to your dish pit, clean it. When you're ready to bring it back, very simple to reinstall it. All you need to do, set your set screws on the trough side, pull back towards you, and you're set and ready to go. Very simple installation, very simple taking off or cleaning, as well as putting back on. Maintenance is very low key. Now we can answer a few frequently asked questions about what you can do with your griddle rail, and we'll be right back with that. Now that your griddle rail is installed, we're going to show you a few tips on how you can use it. First, let's start with the different pans that'll fit in the griddle rail. We can fit 3rd pans, we can fit 9th pans, and we can also fit a more common size pan, a 6-pan. You can use all different depths on it, 4-inch, 2-inch, and even 6-inch pans. They can be stainless steel or they can be plastic. A lot of folks, typically the first question they'll ask is, when the griddle rail is installed on the front of my griddle, is it going to make me stand too far away from it? Before you even install the griddle rail, walk up to your griddle as if you're going to work at it and take a look down. Chances are you're probably standing about that far away in the first place. We typically stand a little bit further back from the griddle, almost to protect ourselves from the heat. So it won't be forcing you too far back. You'll still have plenty of room, not having to reach over, and be at a comfortable distance. And in a lot of the kitchens that we typically walk into, we see a lot of the same problems. Folks are keeping their cooking utensils, salt and pepper shakers, other items that they need to work on the flat top griddle. So we designed something that'll help get those items off of the flat top, right in front of you, creating more space for you to do your work. So we can take a few of these items of steak weight, put it down in our 3rd pan. Same with these 3 flippers. We can get those off the flat top, put them in the 3rd pan as well. And our griddle scraper, a lot of folks like to keep it up there. Some people will keep it down below, forcing you to reach down and come back up over and over, which can be tiresome on the back. So we can also take our griddle scraper and put it in there. So now we've got a clean griddle top that allows us to have a lot more space to cook and have a much more efficient kitchen. And that's really the goal of the griddle rail in itself, is to have a more efficient kitchen. Make your workers who work on your flat top griddle much faster, pumping out faster ticket times, which in this business, that's what we're looking for. Also designed to help us from having to turn around a lot or have to reach down. A lot of times we have a chef base underneath our griddles, which forces us to reach down to get different food items. Can be hurtful and tiring on the back. Also bad on your chef base, having to open and close those drawers all the time. Tough on the drawers, also tough on the refrigeration of the chef base itself. So underneath there, or in other refrigeration, we like to keep different items cold. And that's a question a lot of folks have. Well, how do I keep my food items hot? How do I keep them cold? The griddle rail is not designed for keeping any of those items at temperature. It's designed for quick turnover of food items, whether it be onions that you're grilling, mushrooms, peppers, sliced cheese for hamburgers. You're going through those items very quickly, then you can reload from your chef base or other piece of refrigeration where you store those items. Maybe you have to turn around often for other items like sauce bottles or even hamburger buns or different breads. Instead, now we can take our bread, we don't need our griddle scraper there, and we can put that in a 3rd pan there. Now we have those buns in front of us, making us move much more efficiently. Same thing with our sauce bottles. We can have those right in front of us as well. The goal is to get everything we need to cook right here in front of us to be much more efficient. Same thing with our seasoning shakers. Typically these are kept here a lot of times, knocked off of the griddle onto the floor, have to be cleaned. Instead, we can put those down in our pans in front of us. Now, if you are concerned with the fact that, hey, maybe I do need to keep some of my food items cold, there is always this option. If you need to keep some food items cold, you can always put you a layer of ice in the bottom of a 6-inch pan. After you've got a layer of ice in there, any other pans that you've got your cold food items in can just be dropped right on top. So now, problem solved. All your food will be kept cold on ice. And finally, a lot of folks like to keep a towel around their cook station, keep their hands clean. A lot of times it's kept in kind of a cumbersome place and hard to get to. Now, your griddle rail has become a towel rack. Wet towel there hanging at all times. Keep your fingertips and hands clean while you cook. So really, there's no right or wrong way to use your griddle rail. It's all up to you. Whatever's going to make you faster, more efficient, and run a much better kitchen, that's the goal. With the griddle rail, you can make that happen.